Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone watching at home, and welcome to Saturday night's live Ask Eman show, where we're going to be here up until 11 p.m. with you brothers and sisters live to take your questions and get them answered for you by our Sheikh today. So a quick reminder that today the Saturday show live is here to answer questions that are more of an adult nature, that are more to do with what we face in our adult life, things that may be embarrassing, things that may be maybe you haven't been very confident about coming forward and asking them to any imams or any people of knowledge, or you find it difficult to approach someone and speak about them. So these could be things around intimacy. These could be things which are personal, which are private. They can even be things to do with sins or major sins, and you'd like help to understand better how you can deal with your situation and how you can move forward from it whilst pleasing Allah as well. So the numbers call us on is 0203 5150 769. You also have our WhatsApp number, which you can send your questions to on 074 2239 8833. Both these numbers are going to be coming and going at the bottom left side of your screen throughout the show. If you're watching along on Facebook or YouTube, then you're able to leave your questions at the comment section. Inshallah, we'll also be catching up on some of our missed questions from yesterday, because we did have loads of them. If we weren't able to take your call yesterday, then you're able to give us a call today with your question as well, inshallah. So without further ado, I'll be your host for today, and joining us is our Sheikh Imam Wasim Kempson. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you today?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. So as we start this show every day or every time, I'd like to ask you for a short reminder, Sheikh, and then we can get started with some questions, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wa sayyid al-mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. All praise belongs to Allah. And may the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon his final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So, I want to mention a very famous hadith, and it's a hadith that most of us have heard. And Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, he begins his Sahih with it, and it is the hadith Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that actions are by their intention, وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَىٰ, and that every person shall have what they intended. And I just wanted to briefly mention some of the benefits of this particular hadith, because it represents such a large part of our religion, of our deen, in worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that every action is and will be judged by the person's intention. Now, that action that you carry out must be, first and foremost, must be an action which is pleasing and righteous. So the person can't, for example, say that, well, maybe the action isn't necessarily a good action, it's a bad action, but my intention is good. Your intention cannot make something haram permissible. Okay, so maybe a person wants to sell something haram, or a person wants to get involved in something which is haram, but their intention is pure. This isn't sufficient. What is necessary is that you have a pure intention, and that the action is also righteous. This is something which inshallah ta'ala will be pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a point that many misunderstand. So I just wanted to focus on the importance of having a good intention, a pure intention, and that having a good intention is not only before the action begins, but throughout the duration of the action, that you are seeking the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing else. Maybe during that action that something may change your intention, that you are not doing it only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but maybe there's some dunyawi kind of benefit from that. So we want to ensure that our hearts are clean and pure, and that what we offer for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves things which are pure and only for him.
Yes.
And Allah jalla wa ala will reward accordingly. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Thank you so much. Sheikh, on this show we deal with those topics, that are sometimes controversial, maybe controversial, sometimes, sensitive, embarrassing, but most definitely relevant.
No.
Yeah. All right. So why I say that is because we're going to start with this question, which is from our YouTube. And the question is, why is music haram? Now, a bit of context, Sheikh. Today, music's everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's not speak about what's in the supermarkets and stuff, but what the young people are busying themselves with, motivating themselves with. People going to the gym, got headphones, music. If you're not listening to your own music, you're listening to the gym music. Young people are finding maybe even identity, a belonging in music and certain themes of it. And it's something that's beyond just sound, Sheikh. It's something that, goes into the heart, moves people, leads people.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we want to mention, merely texts from the Quran and from the Sunnah, then there are the verse which is in Surah Luqman, which is well known to be mentioned. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ, that there will be those people who purchase idle talk, that they will then guide them away from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, the very famous mufassir and companion of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, made an oath, swore by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this verse was talking about music. So this is something to be taken very serious if a companion is swearing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about the meaning of the hadith. And then there are hadith which are in Al-Bukhari, in which the Prophet alayhi salam, that a time would come that people would make halal, make permissible, meaning that the default position is that it is not permissible. And from those things which would be the use of ma'azif or musical instruments. This is for kind of a textual base as to why music is haram. Now, when at certain times I've noticed that when you start talking about music and the Islamic position on that, there is a view that you shouldn't be so harsh, or you shouldn't be necessarily mentioning things which, it's not a kabira, it's not a major sin, it's one of the minor sins. We need to be focusing on Muslims coming back to their religion and encouraging them to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if a person is heavily involved in that, by you telling them music's haram, then they won't want to listen to you. Now, if there are certain circumstances where a person is heavily involved in music, then maybe that's not the first thing we're going to be talking about, of course. أُدْعُوا إِلَى سَبِيلِ رَبِّكَ بِالْحِكْمَةِ وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ. In a call to the path of your Lord with wisdom, with using Quran and Sunnah. Be wise. So maybe certain circumstances, it may be wise just to not necessarily speak about that, but to focus on, no doubt, more important things for them, which will encourage them to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if a person is asking about hukm shara'i, is talking about the ruling of music, then the vast majority of the ulama, qadiman wa hadithan, from the past and in modern day, the music isn't something which is not permissible. And the effects of it are numerous. And again, it's a long discussion, but maybe it's the most important things for us to mention at the moment. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. And Sheikh, from a place of, aside from halal and haram, from a place of using it as a motivator and using it as like a feel-good remedy and stuff like that. As Muslims, from my understanding, we turn our attention to Allah when it comes to, or we fight. When you dig deep and you need to find strength sometimes and perseverance, you dig deep with intending reward back from Allah and intending the pleasure of Allah. Now, just as a Muslim, Sheikh, how does this influence maybe your direction in life if you are seeking other sources?
Yeah, I mean, whatever a person does, they seek some form of satisfaction or happiness from that. And what we would understand is the beliefs would say that, listening to the Quran, understanding of the Quran, and these are motivators for us. If a person is talking more specifically to make it more relevant, let's say they're in the gym or they're doing some form of exercise, that they say, well, one particular tune allows me to run the extra kilometer a little bit quicker, or listening to a particular tune allows me to achieve what I want to achieve. The actual thing they're listening to doesn't actually have a direct impact on their physical capability, so it's a mental thing. And this is the whole issue, really, that we need to kind of detach them away for all the reliance on things like this, whereas there are when you need to exercise and things like that, you don't need to rely on and do things like that. Allah knows best.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Our next question is from WhatsApp, and the question is: if we had bad thoughts about Allah, will we be punished, and how can we avoid these type of thoughts? We have a minute left in Salah break, Sheikh.
طيب. So, the shaitan may come to us at times and try to put thoughts in our minds which come in the form of doubts, or to think bad about what was written for us. In situations like this, we seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection by saying A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a good way, in a positive way, and remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants good for you. And if a person has any further kind of issues on that, then go to a person of knowledge to maybe explain the issue in further detail, so that they can get the help they need, inshallah ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of this part of our show. We're going to take a short break now, and then we'll be back after a few minutes with you, brothers and sisters, to continue taking your questions and getting them answered by our Sheikh today. So whilst we're away, if you'd like to send any WhatsApp questions or put any on Facebook or YouTube, please go ahead. If you'd like to call us, then we'll be back shortly. For now, assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to today's Ask Eman Late Night. We're going to be here up until 11 p.m. with you brothers and sisters. So if you have any questions, pick up the phone or send us your questions via WhatsApp, email, Facebook or YouTube. It's completely up to you. Just a reminder, this episode or this show is here to facilitate questions for you that may be embarrassing, may be private, those which are more of an adult nature, things maybe around substance abuse if you're having difficulty around that, questions maybe around the right and wrong things to do intimately between husband and wife, maybe you're dealing with some other difficulties which you need advice for, then this show is just here to give you that chance to be open about it. You can call anonymously or message anonymously and get help with any issues, any difficulties or obstacles you're having right now. So the number to call is the usual one on 0203 5150 769. Otherwise, you have all the other details at the bottom left side of your screen throughout the show, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Welcome back after the break.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, Sheikh. So our next question, Sheikh, is Assalamu alaikum to both of you. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have two questions. Is a handwritten divorce letter with 3 witness names legitimate? Question 2, what are the rules of divorce when it comes to thalakha? I think it's talaq, right, Sheikh? There's no such thing as thalakha.
Talaq.
No? Yeah, talaq, that's it. It's written in that way, talaq. Okay, talaq. Yeah.
Talaq, yeah. So if, bismillah. So in general, and I don't want to comment on any one specific divorce case. It's not right for us to do that here live on a TV program. But if people are going through a divorce case or looking at a situation, they need to go to a person of knowledge to find out the matters which are specific to them. But in general, the writing down of a divorce can be considered a divorce. It's not necessarily there needs to be something which is verbal, but if it's done correctly and it is written down, then that can count. Naam, wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Sheikh. Our next question is Assalamu alaikum. Is it the responsibility of the husband to pay the rent, buy groceries, clothe his family, and spend on the home, i.e., decorating and buying household items, even if the wife is earning?
Yes.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Our next question is Assalamu alaikum. Are real estate investments and gold, silver investments permissible in Islam?
Yeah, so istithmar or investing in halal products or projects is something which is encouraged in Islam. So investing in gold or investing in silver, or you want to purchase it, the price of it goes up and things like that, then yeah, that's no problem, inshallah ta'ala. Similarly, in real estate, purchasing and getting involved in properties and buying and selling properties, as long as it's in line with Islamic principles, then there's absolutely no problem with that, inshallah ta'ala. It's a good way to increase your money. Naam, wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Our next question is Assalamu alaikum. Several months ago, I promised to Allah that I would stop listening to music as I heard it is haram. But unfortunately, yesterday I started listening to some old songs I used to like before. Do I have to make an expiation? Also, will Allah forgive me for breaking my promise?
So, if somebody's done something wrong and they make a kind of promise that I won't do this again. Okay, it's kind of part of the repentance process that you go through, and there may be times when you may slip back into that, and then you feel you're regretful about what you did, and there's no oath was made or no promise was made or vow was made that you're going to do something, fast 3 days if you do that. That's not been made clear or wasn't mentioned in the question. So really, all that is really upon you is that you feel regretful and sorry about what you did. Just repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you of all of our sins if we are sincere in our repentance. No.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for your answer. Our next question is, can a Muslim man marry a woman from the people of the book if there is understanding between them?
Yeah, so this is mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'idah that it is allowed for a man to marry a practicing Jewish woman or a Christian woman, it is permissible, yes.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Thank you. We're going to go to our questions from YouTube. Our next question is from Brother Taha. He says, Assalamu alaikum. Do we need to recite takbir before tahajjud prayer like we do in fard prayer?
So the Prophet ﷺ said with regards to salah, تحريمها التكبير وتحليلها التسليم. That the beginning, for you to actually enter the prayer, you need to say Allahu Akbar. And to finish the prayer, you need to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah or Assalamu alaikum. So whether it's a nafila prayer or a fard prayer, then you need to say Allahu Akbar to enter the prayer. Now,
thank you, Sheikh. Our next question is from YouTube, which is Assalamu alaikum. How much Quran should a person recite in each raka'ah of tahajjud salah? But before we get to that, Sheikh, we have a caller, so we'll go to our call. Assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your question for us today?
Walaikum salam. Just want to ask, if I tell people some good deed to do, which I do, so to encourage them to do the same thing, is the barakah will be taken away from my good deed?
Okay, stay on the line if you'd like until you get your answer from our Sheikh.
what was the question? Sorry.
If the sister encourages people to do a good deed, I believe if she's doing that same deed she's advising for others to do, will now the goodness or the reward that she does for hers be taken away? Because they're doing it now.
Okay, yeah, okay, it's a good question. So, the Prophet ﷺ said that the person dalu ala al-khayri ka-ajri fa'ilihi, that the person who shows the person to do good, you tell somebody to do good action and then they do it, you will receive the reward, inshallah ta'ala, of what they do. And that will not be taken away from anything that you do. No, so it's not like the reward is worth, let's say, at least 10, okay? So I told somebody to do something, so we're going to share 5 and 5. It doesn't work like that. You do the reward, or you do the action, you get full reward, inshallah ta'ala. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you for that. And if you teach another person to do that, whatever they do, inshallah, you get added to the reward that you get. So there's no, there's an incentive for us to encourage other people to do good deeds. Otherwise, if I think to myself, well, if I tell another person to do a good deed, that's going to half my reward. That will encourage people to not tell anybody to do anything. You want to do the good deed yourself, and that's it. Whereas the actual opposite. So you telling other people to do good deeds is, you're in a win-win situation, inshallah ta'ala. You do the good deeds, and Allah will reward you for that, as well as you telling the other person. Now,
You know, I find incredible, Sheikh, is within that explanation, the Prophet ﷺ taught us our deen, our prayer, our fasting.
Yes.
It's incredible that he's going to be getting the reward of every single Muslim's deeds. It's a position Allah's.
now this is another. Leads on to another thing. I want to perform Hajj for the Prophet ﷺ. Or I want to perform Umrah for the Prophet ﷺ. You have to bear in mind that who taught you to do Hajj and Umrah in the first place? It was An-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the fact that you do it, he gets the reward for that anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so therefore, you do the Hajj and Umrah for yourself, or you do it on other people.
Yeah.
And other, but there's no need for you to do it for the Prophet ﷺ, because ﷺ gets the reward for teaching you and teaching us all now in the first place. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Thank you so much. Okay, we had the brother. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. We'll go to our next caller of the show. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, I have 2 questions to ask.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, my first question is there a specific hour on Friday where your dua can be accepted?
Yeah.
And my second question is, can Fajr Salah be performed after sunrise?
Okay. Jazakallah khair for your questions. Stay on the line, please.
So an hour on Friday in which our du'as are answered. There's a well-known hadith that which the Prophet ﷺ, that the day of Jumu'ah is made up of 12 hours. That if a person makes a dua in that particular hour, then it is hoped that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer the supplication of that servant. And it is after Salat al-Asr until Salat al-Maghrib. So the time duration between Asr and Maghrib is that time when it is highly recommended for you to make that dua, and as closer to Maghrib as you can is even better. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Second question with regards to...
Second question was Fajr after sunrise.
Fajr after sunrise. Well, if you're awake, then you need to pray Fajr in its time.
Yeah.
It's not allowed for you to delay. However, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man nama an salatin aw nasiyaha," that whoever sleeps over or forgets to pray a prayer, فَلْيُصَلِّيهَا إِذَا ذَكَرَهَا, that the person then is to immediately pray that prayer when they remember it or when they wake up. لَا كَفَارَةَ لَهَا إِلَّا ذَلِكَ, that there's no other way of expiating or making up for it except by that. Even that's after the sunrise. I didn't pray Fajr, I woke up late, then you pray that. Okay, there is an understanding with some that, it's, it's a prohibited time from praying. It's a prohibited time from praying if you prayed Fajr and then you're waiting for the sunrise. A person has not prayed, then you need to pray immediately at that time. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Thank you, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair. That brings us to the end of this part of our show. We're going to take our next break now, and then we'll be back after a few minutes. So, brothers and sisters, do stay tuned. We'll be back very shortly. For now, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to today's Ask Eman show. We're going to go straight to our next caller now. So, assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Wa alaikum salam. My name is Azad. I'm speaking from London, brother.
MashaAllah. Welcome to the show. How are you today, brother?
Alhamdulillah. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. Jazakallah khair. It's very cold in London today, isn't it?
It's okay. Okay.
It's all right. It's cold for me. Jazakallah khair, brother. And your question?
The question is a simple question, brother.
Yeah.
If I had the choice of performing Umrah or giving the money to charity, for which one will I get the more reward for? So the choice is perform Umrah or give to charity.
You made Umrah before?
If I had the choice between the two.
Okay. Have you performed Umrah before?
Yes, performed Umrah before, yes.
Okay then. Do you have any more questions?
No, brother.
All right. Stay on the line, inshallah. So then if you have any questions you'd like to ask after that, you're very welcome to, inshallah.
طيب, Bismillah. Concerning the reward of Umrah, the Prophet ﷺ told us in a sound hadith that al-umratu ila al-umrah, that the performing of one Umrah to the next is an expiation of the sins that is between them. So that's a very, a big reward for a person who does that. And the reason we asked if you had performed the Umrah before, because there is a view amongst a number of the ulama that a person should perform Umrah at least once in their life. So if there's a situation where you hadn't performed Umrah, I would have said to you, you should go perform your Umrah rather than maybe giving your money for a charitable cause. Since you have done that, then to be honest with you, Allah knows best with regards to what you're going to get most reward for. You try to put your charity or do your actions in what you see fit or deem the best possible way to get the most reward, and that's something between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whatever you do, you're sincere to Allah Azza wa Jal. So if you give some of your money to maybe the building of a masjid or towards the looking after orphans, which is a very, very, very noble cause. I always recommend, if a person wants to give charity, is to look after orphans, because there are many ahadith in which that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ana wa kafilul yatim kahatain," that I and the one who looks after the orphan is like this together. So this is a great reward. So this is something we'll continue for you as well, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So I would also encourage you to look at types of charity which are continuous. Maybe like the building of the world. There's another hadith in which that the Prophet ﷺ said that the best charity is, or the best way of helping people is giving them water. So you choose what you think is best, brother. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the best reward for that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is best.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh.
Oh, if I can mention as well, my apologies. Yep. Remembering that when you go to perform Umrah, you go to Mecca, and there is 100,000 salah. There's 100,000 prayers,
wow, yeah.
which is something which, maybe if you look at it, it's something which obviously cannot be equaled. So, pray istikhara to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide you to that what is the best, and may Allah Azza wa Jal make it easy for you.
Thank you, Sheikh. Does that answer your question, brother? Okay, Jazakallah khair. I believe we have another caller on the line. So, assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm calling from Birmingham.
Okay, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah, my question is about night prayers. Is it called tahajjud?
Yes, tahajjud.
Yes.
Tahajjud, yeah. I want to know if sometimes I pray with my husband, so he leads. So is it allowed for me to also read any surah behind him?
Okay, just so your question is clear, sister, you pray behind your husband during the night prayer, correct?
Yeah, we make it Jamaat.
Yeah, and then you're asking, whilst you're praying behind him, can you choose any surah you'd like to recite after Surah Al-Fatiha?
Yeah, after Surah Al-Fatiha, because he takes, takes so many surahs. Yeah.
All right. Is this while he's praying out loud or in silent, quietly?
Loud, always loud.
Okay, so whilst he's praying loud, you'd like to know if you can recite something else to yourself?
Yeah. It's allowed for me. Yeah.
Understood.
After Fatiha, yeah.
Okay. So, mashallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow you to continue with this beautiful sunnah of praying the night prayer. But the person who's leading the prayer, let's say you both recite Al-Fatiha, the one who's following will recite it quietly to themselves after the one who has led it or said it out loudly. Then after that, the one leading the salah is going to recite the Quran. The one who's following just listens, doesn't recite anything. Okay, so it's upon the ma'moom, the one who's following the imam, who happens to be your husband in this situation, that you don't recite anything. You just listen to your husband recite, and that's it. Wallahu a'lam.
Do you have any other questions, sister?
No. Is it if I read Fatiha, or do I have to read Fatiha, or I don't have to read anything?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a difference of view, but I'm of the view that you do recite Surah Al-Fatiha, but you listen to your husband, as it is at the moment. Let him recite Surah Al-Fatiha first, and then when he starts reciting, or whatever the case may be, that you recite the Fatiha very quietly to yourself to ensure that you have recited Al-Fatiha, because that represents a pillar of the prayer. So you do recite it quietly to yourself. Now,
does that answer your question, sister?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your call. Jazakallah khair. All right, Sheikh. So we have Abu Bakr from Tanzania, who's asking if a husband and wife pray together, as the sister just asked. In the beginning of the prayer, does the woman perform the iqamah?
no. So there's no adhan or iqamah legislated for sisters, and there is no iqamah for the tahajjud prayer, the voluntary prayer anyway.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
no iqamah for the voluntary prayer.
Correct. So,
No.
inshallah, we'll let Abu Bakr know that, inshallah, our brother. May Allah bless him. For everyone watching at home, just a quick reminder, we're live on Ask Eman late night. We're going to be here until 11 o'clock. So the number to call us on is 0203 515 0769. Ask Eman late night is here to give you the chance to ask any questions which may be sensitive, embarrassing, difficult to ask. Maybe they're private matters. That's why the show is here so late. So then maybe your kids are sleeping, and it's a time where, only the adults are awake. So we're able to address these sort of questions. With that, we have our next caller on the line. So we'll go to our call. Assalamu alaikum to our brother. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. To yourself and Sheikh Wasim Kempson.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question is regarding the kosher meat. If halal meat is not available anywhere, is kosher meat allowed for Muslims? And the question is in context of that any slaughtered animal, name of Allah should be mentioned on it. So how is it guaranteed that kosher meat will be done under the similar circumstances?
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, first of all, brother Muhammad Tariq. You're a regular caller, so welcome to the show. May Allah bless you. Hope you're well.
Now, so again, we mentioned at the beginning of the show with regards to marriage. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the ta'amul ladhina utul kitab, that the food that was from the Ahlul Kitab, meaning the Jews and Christians, halul lakum, that it's permissible for us. And alhamdulillah, and here in the UK, if you find food that is noted or been slaughtered in a way that is kosher, because they're very Jewish community are very strict in their slaughtering practices, that is sufficient for us. It is not asked for us to do investigation as to what did you say or what did you do with regards to the actual sacrifice. But it's perfectly permissible for you to eat the food if it's known to be kosher. You say Bismillah and you can eat it. And what I would say is another side issue is with regards to halal meat and kosher meat, that the manner of killing the animal is something which was passed down through the laws of the different shari'ahs throughout the times. And this is the most humane way and proper way correct way of slaughtering animals. And it is unfortunate that that there are those who need to be educated, really, because their perception of slaughtering animals like this, they're seen as something barbaric. And even such comments are, how can you possibly slaughter that animal? And why do you slaughter animals in this way? It is barbaric. Even though they themselves, they eat meat. So then, you question them, well, how do you think the animal dies? But they are blinded, and they don't understand that when an animal is killed, that it needs to be slaughtered. And this is the kind of ignorance that is, unfortunately, in the media. and this is the kind of ignorance which is in many of the minds of many people. So it's important for us as a Muslim community to uphold good practices with regards to slaughtering animals. And I know it's a bit of a diversion as to what the brother asked, but also the Jewish community are very firm and very strict with regards to their slaughtering practices. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us.
Thank you, Sheikh. I mean, thank you for your answer. Thank you to our caller. May Allah reward you. We have another caller waiting on the line, but I'd like to ask you if you could wait until after our break now. We're going to take a break, our last break for a few minutes now, and then we'll be back for the last part of our show, inshallah. So everyone watching, please do stay tuned so we can continue with our show with you afterwards. For now, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back to everyone who's been with us today to the last part of today's show. So we're going to be here for another 10 minutes or 12 maximum with you, brothers and sisters. So if you have any questions, give us a call on 0203 515 0769. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Welcome back after the break.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
All right, Sheikh. So we're going to attend to one question from WhatsApp, and then I believe we have some callers on the line waiting. The question is, what is the process for a Muslim after they have died leading up to the Day of Judgment? And second, what happens to the body after death? I know this is an entire seminar, but whatever you can do, Sheikh.
I mean, Bismillah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us husn al-khatimah, to give us all a good ending. Allahumma ameen. When the person passes away, they then go into another existence, which is called al-hayat al-barzakhiyah, which is the life of the grave, which is not compared to this worldly life in any way, shape or form. All human beings, when they are buried, then their body will decompose, except we know in the sound hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said that the prophets are saved from this, that their bodies will not be consumed by the earth. So when a person's body is placed in the earth, then the body will decompose, subhanallah. Now, in this existence that the person will be in the grave, and that there may be trials in the grave, they may be also rewarded in the grave. And this is a place that they will remain until the trumpet is blown, and then all of creation will be raised, and this will signify the beginning of the Day of Judgment, where then everybody will be judged according to that what they did in this worldly life, albeit very brief, but that's kind of covers most of what they've asked. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Sheikh. We'll go now to our next caller of the show. Assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from? Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show. What's your question for us today?
So my question is regarding, so obviously we're encouraged to engage heavily in the night prayer, and obviously there's a lot of issues around it, but I want to know if there was any specific time, amount of hours that was documented in the hadith, how much that the Prophet used to sleep. Is there any specific number or?
Yeah. Do you have any?
Yeah. Sorry to cut you. Now, my last question was just any other sunnah that Sheikh would recommend that we can revive in everyday lives.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
No, that was it.
All right, then thank you so much, brother. We're just going to go to our next caller now, but do stay tuned and we'll get your question to our Sheikh. Actually, we don't have our next caller on the line anymore, so we are going to go straight to your question.
Yep.
So the brother asked, is it recorded anywhere how many hours the Prophet ﷺ used to sleep? Because the brother would like to understand how he can manage his night prayer around that.
No. So there's one hadith in which, because the Prophet ﷺ did not have a fixed time with regards to hours in sleeping. And we know this because we find in one hadith that the Prophet ﷺ, when advising three people about different things that they would do, one of them said, I would never marry any women. One of them said, I'm going to stand the whole night in prayer. And the other one said, I'm going to fast every day. Here the Prophet ﷺ said to them that there are days when I sleep, and then there are days when I wake up. And then of course there are days when I fast, and there are days when I don't fast, and I marry as well. فَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. That whoever turns away from my sunnah is not from me. So from this hadith we know that the Prophet ﷺ would not have a fixed time. I do remember that vaguely, although I'm not going to go into great detail because I don't remember it in exact detail, and I don't quote hadith incorrectly, about Dawood alayhi salam had a particular pattern at sleeping at night, whether it was to sleep a third and to wake up for the last sixth and something like that. That is a good practice. We also know the Prophet ﷺ told us that Allah Jalla wa Ala descends to the lowest heaven in the last third of the night, and this is the best time to establish the tahajjud or the qiyam al-layl. This is all I have on this matter. Allah is best.
Thank you, Sheikh. Our next question, Sheikh, is Assalamu alaikum. What are the etiquettes of marriage during the marriage night?
So the Prophet ﷺ encouraged on the night of the marriage that both husband and wife they supplicate, they make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the man, he will place his hand on his wife's head and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the best of her, and to protect protect him from any bad characteristics that she may have. And similarly, she makes dua for the same things as well. And they pray 2 rak'ah together. It is also a sunnah. And then after that, really, it is up to them how they spend their first moments together. Islam did not come to dictate and tell you what you're supposed to do minute by minute or hour by hour. It is a matter which is behind closed door, and it is really up to the husband and wife how they spend that time together. Wallahu ta'ala.
Thank you, Sheikh. Our next question is, Assalamu alaikum. Is it a sin if you do not go to Hajj?
I can also mention something that the Prophet ﷺ would give some. He gave like some milk. He gave a drink to his wife. It is mentioned in hadith, in the incident of Aisha radiallahu anha. So there's something for maybe the husband to do is to present something to his wife on the evening. Now, other with regards to Hajj, if you have the financial means to make Hajj and you didn't, then you will be accountable for that. Yes, you may be sinful if you had the financial means and you didn't go. If, however, you didn't have the financial means, then the Hajj, the obligation of Hajj was never upon you, because you didn't have the financial means. And if you died without performing the Hajj, then you don't die in a state of sin, because the obligation wasn't upon you. No, Allah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Thank you. We're going to go to our next caller now. Assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Muhammad Adam, calling from Clothe.
MashaAllah. Welcome to the show, brother. And what's your question for us?
Yeah, my question is just that in terms of marriage, when one is looking for a potential spouse and there comes an issue in terms of the mahar, so if one side is asking for a lot of mahar, which is quite unreasonable, then how can we come to a compromise with regards to this?
Okay, you can stay on the line whilst you get your answer, inshallah.
Yeah, so the mahar or the dowry is the right of the sister, and she will put forth what she would like as the bridal gift, or the mahar or the dowry. She should bear in mind maybe the financial status of her potential husband. It shouldn't be something which is overburdensome. There are certain narrations which, that the best mahar is that what is easier for them to deliver between themselves. So there isn't a fixed amount. Allah knows best. But again, it is the right of the wife to ask for something. And if they need to if she's said something which is too high, it's fair enough for the brother to say, that's too much for me, I can't afford that. Is it possible that we could come to some form of compromise on that? And then they should, discuss these issues. If it's difficult for the sister to talk about this, then, the brother can speak to the sister's wali, the guardian, so they can come to a suitable conclusion, a suitable agreement. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Does that answer your question, brother? Okay, our brother's gone. Thank you so much for your call. So we had another caller, Sheikh, who asked, is it permissible to get married for the reasons of acquiring papers, citizenship? That's the right word.
So this is a legal issue. I know, well, of course, it's an Islamic program, and we're answering it. But you're asking for something like this. I mean, this is not like a marriage of relationships and love and so on and so forth. You just want, it's like a paper marriage, it's like a fake marriage. And as far as I know, in this country, it's not permissible. Okay, this is illegal. You can't do that here. So that being the case, then you need to be aware of the law in this country, that kind of marriage, which is seen as a false marriage, is against the law, and so therefore you shouldn't do that. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Thank you. Okay, we have a minute left on our show, Sheikh, and our next question is...
If this just, before you ask another question, maybe we don't have time to do that. What I would say is that on subjects like this, where the person is asking, but I want to know the Islamic position, there are certain issues in which, if we're living in a land where we're subject to certain laws which we're obligated to follow, then that does have an impact on our Islamic answer as well.
Okay.
So it's not that the person didn't answer Islamically, but we did as well, because there's implications as to not only the legal side of that, but how does that impact the Islamic situation. And because we are Muslims living in the UK, we're obliged to follow the laws of the land in this situation. So therefore, it has an impact on our Islamic answer as well. Allahu A'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. That brings us to the end of our show. I'd like to thank you, Sheikh Wasim, for joining us today. May Allah reward you. Thank you so much to everyone who's watched along with us today through our late night show. May Allah bless you all. I hope everyone's benefited. May Allah make it so. Ameen. So we'll be back on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. For now, Assalamu alaikum.